Hey, this is Danny Eni with Firepole Marketing, and you're listening to Stephanie O'Brien's Moved by Purpose podcast.
I was still working through that, figuring all that out, but just wasn't as clear, and now I'm absolutely clear on my purpose, and I'm just jumping in.
Are you longing to know what your purpose is? Are you on the wrong career path? Do you feel like there must be more to life? Don't worry, there's hope. It's time to be moved by purpose. Now your host, Stephanie O'Brien.
You are listening to the Moved by Purpose podcast with Stephanie O'Brien, and today I am excited to have a repeat guest on the show today. He was my very first guest ever to be on the Moved by Purpose podcast, Matt Shoup. He is an encouraging and inspiring visionary entrepreneur whose life mission and purpose is to help others become phenomenal at life, love, leadership, and business. Matt does this as an author and keynote speaker in the business and leadership world. You can connect with him over at mattshoup.com, and that is spelled SHOUP for his last name. The links are over in the show notes, and I will repeat that again at the end of this episode. Welcome to the show, Matt. It is such an honor to have you on the show again.
Hello, how are you? And I think we recorded your first show together.
Yes, you were my very first guest, and I'm very excited to have you on about a year later. And hopefully my interviewing skills have progressed. I was so nervous the first time I interviewed you, and I'm much more at ease this time. So
No, you're doing excellent. I had a great time the first time around, and no, your skills have definitely improved. I can tell it and feel it and hear it.
Good. So the first question I ask every guest is, tell us about you and your journey that has led you to what you are doing today.
Wow, my journey. I have been the troublemaking kid growing up. I could never sit down and shut up, and always thought out of the box, thought a little bit differently, just about how to do life, how to do things. That led me into business. I always had a small business of some kind growing up. It was in the entrepreneurship space. I had a lawn mowing company, candy peddling company, and that supported my way through middle school, high school, and got into college. I went to Colorado State University. I was there from 99 to 2003, and I actually got connected with a college painting company while I was there, and that rekindled my interest in business and entrepreneurship. So I worked my way through that company, kind of up through the ranks of the company, and decided ultimately that I was going to go out on my own. And I found myself going from the business space into the corporate mortgage banking space. And it was the furthest. I just didn't fit in. I'm not a suit and tie kind of guy. I don't like rules and regulations a whole lot, and found myself just really not enjoying life, not enjoying the day-to-day. It was just a day-to-day grind, and there was no purpose. There was no passion. There was nothing about it that I loved, and I knew it wasn't for me. And the bank came in one day. This was, March 2005. They came in and said, hey, we're letting you go. We're restructuring, reorganizing, whatever banks do. And they let me go. And I literally found myself just recently married with a over-leveraged home, debt, school loans. I was 6 figures in debt, and I had to go make something happen. So I started a painting company. I found my way back to painting. I said, you know what, we're going to do this for a couple of years until we hold things over and I figure out what I really want to do. And we grew that business quick. It grew very fast. We got up into the multi-million-dollar range within a couple of years. And putting it into perspective, that's about 8 to 10 times the size of the normal painting company in the area that we serve. And we did it real quickly with very limited funds. And as I went through that journey of, I was in my young to mid 20s, learning a lot about life and love and leadership and business and how that all fits together. People started asking me to come speak and coach and help them with business questions, and that started turning into leadership and life questions. And just about 3 months ago, I had known for the past couple of years that I wanted to get out of the painting business, not sell it, but I knew it could run without me. I knew that I had created an environment where I could really let leaders lead and create an environment and a lifestyle for for my family where I didn't have to be involved in the day-to-day operations. And then I had this calling, this greater purpose to really touch lives at a deeper level, to speak, to coach. And I made the jump as of beginning of January of this year. And here we are. So when I spoke to you back a little over a year ago when you were just getting started, I was still working through that, figuring all that out, but just wasn't as clear. And now I'm absolutely clear on my purpose and I'm just jumping in.
That's awesome. And I think you've made some very relevant points that I think whoever is listening could really benefit from. And that is gaining clarity on your purpose and calling is a process. It's not necessarily this huge, you wake up and suddenly it falls into your lap and you just know exactly what it is. A lot of times it's a journey and a lot of moving, trying things and getting the feedback from what you like, what you don't like, to really hone in on that. So
it can't be forced. That's one thing that I would add is we're talking about. There's been times in my life when I've tried to force it and it just doesn't come. And I'm like, darn it, got to figure out my purpose, you know, and you can't force it. It's just as you experience life and go through things and it takes turns and ups and downs, you really start to discover who you are, what you're made of, what you stand for. And there is power, though, in reflecting back through your story and really unpacking that to figure out what those positive core values are that you carry. I call that your flag.
Very true. You're pausing and trying to kind of find a little bit of clues or what seems to be consistent or what is the pattern, and it's not as obvious as some people would like it to be. But when you say your flag, can you clarify that more? Like, I know you're writing a book called Planting Your Flag. I would love to hear more.
And I love analogies. I'm always inspired by analogies when I hear them. It helps me to put things into perspective. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're here as humans, and I'm in the business space. I'm in the entrepreneurship space. And I think within that space, for me, a lot of people look at, you know, what's my purpose in business and what should I be doing? Or a lot for your listeners, what vocation should I go into? That's just a vocation. That's absolutely just what you do at the end of the day. That has nothing to do with who you are. And your flag at the end of the day, the flag that I fly, that I know that I am at the heart, gut, it's ingrained into my DNA level. It's inspiration, leadership, and encouragement. So what I would challenge listeners to think about is your flag is who you are. It's what you've been blessed with. It's what you're born with. It's that purpose. It's that calling. And it's something that we don't get challenged. We don't get asked that question a lot of who are you and what do you stand for? We get asked, what do you do? What role, what vocation do you have? So if you look at the flag of a country, for example, if you look at the red, white, and the blue, the stars of America, we know what that means when somebody that is part of a culture, a company, an organization can align with a flag, a greater purpose, a greater value set. That's what I mean by that.
Awesome. What do you do question is asked a lot. And I think that can really trip a lot of people up because we can be tempted to wrap our identity into what we do or what we produce or the activities that we do every day.
Yes.
And that's something that I even have to check myself as well because I identify with being an entrepreneur and building this business and I love serving people. But if that was taken away from me, that doesn't mean that I'm lost.
Yeah.
You've got to be really careful with that. Especially, I don't know if you found that, like, your purpose is not necessarily your job, although you can be in alignment with that very much.
Absolutely.
And
one of the things that I say is your purpose is not what you do. It's that in everything that you do that you are absolutely being who you are. And I call that doing your be. I have a million hats that I wear. So I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business guy. But in business, when I can bring inspiration, leadership, encouragement, being a warrior, being a visionary, these things, when I can bring those things into business, into entrepreneurship, and then switch gears and come home to be a father, and then switch another gear, and I'm a husband in alignment with being a father in the house. And then I go and I coach kids and I practice sports and things like that. When I can be aligned in everything I do with those values, with that flag, that's when I'm living my purpose. And I think we get interrupted a lot and distracted by saying, well, you have to find purpose in a vocation. I've talked to and met a lot of people that thought they picked the vocation that would bring them purpose, and they're so far from it, and they don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I want to clarify that too, because my business name is Moved by Purpose. And I do talk a lot about purpose and specifically in aligning it to meaningful work. But I do have to clarify that point a lot, that your job is not your purpose. It's much bigger, much, much grander. It's like wherever you go and pretty much whatever you're doing, your core values, just like you said, are coming out in that. And when you get clear on that, see, and that's where people, I think, get stuck. It's like, well, how do I even get clear on that? I don't even know how to get in alignment with it. I mean, that's who I work with, and you help people through that too. So I'm excited for your book.
Thank you. I am too.
To also help address that. Now, you said something as well, which earlier today, which I loved, which is it can't be forced. And that's a good reminder for me. I think I've recently gotten into this place of rest instead of striving, because people can really want, especially if they're in jobs that are not satisfying and they know there's something more, and you can relate with your painting business and transitioning to what you do now. Sometimes those transition seasons can be tough, especially if there's not a whole lot of certainty or clarity, and you just want it to be over with.
Yes, yeah. And I'm going through that. I mean, as we speak right now, I knew, and I would never say I'm not unsatisfied with my painting company. So if there's any entrepreneurs here that are ready to like dump their company or jump out of their company, I just knew it could run without me. I knew that I had the capability to grow leaders, but then I got in their way. I couldn't let the leaders lead. And it's just been phenomenal to see that ceiling grow for them so they could have more opportunity to do that. But I literally, the day I decided that I was jumping out, it was the next day. I said, okay, great, here we go. Here's my purpose. And let me go build some products and some of this and some of that and everything around it. And then I jumped right in. And, I think you and I both coming from the standpoint of believing in God and having a faith of knowing there's something bigger than us is, it can't be forced. And we do get in our own way, and being okay being in the transition and being okay just being in that season of having some uncertainty while still having clarity, but uncertainty of where that's going to go is huge. It's very important.
Yes. Now, my faith is a huge part of this journey. It's been paramount in what I do. First of all, I mean, I believe very strongly that what I am doing is definitely my calling. But as far as having that crystal clarity and stuff, that's still in process. But one thing is you can step out in faith. And for me, it was a hard thing to learn the balance between resting in things working out and allowing it to work out in its timing, and then forcing and striving and trying to make things get done. For me, I was like, well, what can I do to make this happen faster?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tough place because there's scriptures that say faith without works is dead. Well, people can take that to an extreme, such as how I did, where it's like, well, I'm resting, but I can't just wait around and not do anything. But I just burned myself out because it's like, okay, how many doors am I going to try to charge ahead and have them slam in my face and not budge because it's just not time? Or it takes a faith and a trust and a rest and allowing it to unfold.
It does, yeah. And I know, like for me, so one of the things that I'm really enjoying and I'm in the process of just learning more about is personality styles and profiles. And if you were to look at like DISC, right, you have the doer, the influencer, you have the doers, the feelers, the thinkers, the real internal logistical persons. And I'm a doer. So just like you said, you go kicking doors. I mean, that's what I did. I came out at the beginning of the year, kicking in doors. Here's the plan. And then the more I focused on the door kicking, I just missed a little door over there. And then I go into one meeting, which was literally just catching up with somebody over a breakfast, and I had no business intention, and that had turned into some of the biggest support and other doors that opened within the business. So yeah, don't just sit there. I mean, if anybody that's listening to this is saying, oh, I'm just going to have faith and sit here on the couch and watch some TV
right.
and have another coffee. So there is that balance of, well, you can do that, and I'd say if you want to do that, go ahead and try. And then the other extreme is, just kicking and moving. But we're in a culture, we're in a world where just anybody, I mean, where can you just go sit sit and rest and have that time to reflect and have that clear understanding. That's tough to do in America. I mean, it's anywhere you go, there's something grabbing for your attention.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm wired very similar to you. So it's it's been an interesting lesson. And I can just say, once you get to that place of just knowing the balance of rest, and I'm not saying I've mastered this or perfected it, but just like where you do keep going and taking action and doing the best that you can. For me, I think I got obsessed with outcomes and results. Again, I think that is my wiring as well, because I'm the D-style driven, which is very results oriented. Everything is about the bottom line and the outcome. But when you start fixating on that, and in business, you need results. You do need to measure. And so it does get a little bit tough because you need to be careful. For me, I'm like, am I idolizing that? Am I making that my soul? Like, be careful how much you fixate on something. It's good to have the vision and the big picture goal. But also there is like, when you get your hands off of it and just allow God to take, help guide you, bringing the right people at the right time. And like, again, it's not just not doing anything. It really is amazing. I've had many situations like that as well, where as soon as I just started taking my hands off and stopped obsessing about outcomes, but continued being diligent in my work and strategic and things just happen.
They absolutely do. Yes, same here. Absolutely do.
So that is awesome. Okay, so how can people connect with you, Matt? Where can they find you? Yeah,
the best way to find me is my website. It's Matt Shoup. It's SHOUP as in Paul.com. And there you can see all that I'm doing and my book that's coming out, and you can connect with me, send me a message, set up a time to chat. Yeah, I'm just here to help people be phenomenal at life, love, and leadership.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you so much for being a guest again on the show. It is great. Definitely much more comfortable this time around. It's been a pleasure to talk with you again.
Thanks for having me. It's been really fun to see you grow and just having this conversation today. I've really enjoyed it. One of the things that I say is your purpose is not what you do. It's that in everything that you do that you are absolutely being who you are.
So there you have it. That was Matt Shoup, a very inspiring, genuine guy, great person to connect with. I encourage all of you to visit mattshoup.com. Check him out, see what he's up to, connect with him on social media if you would like. Appreciate him. Let him know your favorite thing about this episode. If you would like to hear from leading experts to find encouragement in your own career, life, or business transition, make sure you sign up for my weekly newsletter over at movedbypurpose.net. If you have not done so already, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and write a review in iTunes or Stitcher so that more people can be helped by this message. Make sure you share this with a friend, family member, or colleague that you believe this episode will help. And as I try to sign off on most of my episodes, and I'm not perfect or that consistent with it, and I thank you guys for bearing with me in my humanity of developing this business and growing, and you see that I'm flawed, that I'm not perfect, and I love that. But here's the sign-off that I will once again try to be consistent in, and that is, if you feel stuck, overwhelmed, and you don't know what to do or where to begin, just get out there. Just go out there and do something. And I'll talk to you all next week.